So today I feel like talking a little bit about my dating experience. Mm, I've written a few posts about that already, but yeah, I I'm so amazed at how how alive this dating experience can feel, how versatile it feels because um I feel like I'm in a phase right now, like the guy I'm dating, he triggers the fuck out of me currently. Um, he's an amazing person. We really get along well because we communicate very clearly. I feel like I can talk to him and he can talk to me openly, which makes this a whole new level of experience for me. But that's another point. Maybe I'm gonna get into that. Um, but currently there are a lot of things that really trigger me, and I think it's a good thing. I trust that it's a good thing because I'm a very, very aware person and I love self-reflection. And I came to realize something that there are different types of triggers. Like there's the trigger when it's obviously when it's obviously a projection. When you really self-reflect and you're being really fucking honest with yourself, you realize, okay, this has nothing to do with the guy, actually with the actual guy there in front of me, but in fact this situation just reminds me of something I've experienced earlier in my life, maybe in other relationships, maybe even back in childhood. um, this reminds me this reminds my body of something I've experienced. And this person in front of me, the guy I'm dating, just kind of pushed this button. Um, and this is a wonderful way to, become aware of your patterns. Um, Important thing here is I've learned that the hard way in in every way. In every way you can learn that. The important thing is that you don't react. Like I've really learned not to react. Like the trigger is being activated. I'm in the gravity of this trigger and I'm like vomiting everything onto that person, metaphorically speaking. Because then the other person will say, like, what the fuck just happened? I've been on that receiving end for God knows how long in my past relationship, but that's another story. So, yeah, and it's amazing. Like, if you're lucky enough to have a person there, like a partner in whatever way you're partnering up, because we're using no labels here. I'm just gonna say partner, connection partner, whatever. If you're lucky enough that you can actually talk to your partner, because that is not something to be taken for granted. Believe the fuck out of me here. Um, then you can just I really practiced saying to my partner here, I'm triggered right now. I know it has nothing to do with you here, and also like just to let you know, just to give you the safety of context here. This is what's going on inside of me. This is what happened, what it reminds me of. So the other person actually gets to know you better. You get to know yourself better, and it's like not an unsafe space anymore. So, yeah, a lot of triggers that are projection, but then there are also triggers, and I'm currently hitting this like entering this territory. Um, like when values are triggered. The other person is however the person is. I am however I am. I have my set of values, what's important to me, and the other person just is, you know. And something in whatever he does triggers something that has to do with my values. Mm, For example, being judgy. So I'm all into crystals and self-development and somatic work and all these things. The crystals, the crystal work and energy work and healing work um, is something like textbook science has yet to discover, quote unquote, and quote unquote proof, even though everyone um, who has tuned into that or has experienced the magic of energy work and has access to it, will we don't need any fucking proof because we have experienced what it can do. But there are people that are very, very like mind focused and or because of some why ever have no connection to the energetic realm, and that is okay. Um, I'm just triggered right now because like the guy I'm dating, he's super science based, and that's cool because I want to understand how things work myself so I can relate to that. We're like our connection point is there. Um, but he's being quite judgy about the crystal thing. And I have my own opinion about how crystal work and energy work works. I'm definitely not in, I don't support the whole, oh, you can charge crystals, you can clean crystals, and all these like basic things you hear everywhere. I'm not on board with that. But so I'm not just so gullible to like no judging, but I'm not gullible to just take everything in, but I love experiencing things for myself. That's my point. Um, and I'm telling him that. But then again, if you, however you feel called to work with crystals, that's fine with you. If I did it any other way that I'm doing it, it would be not misaligned for me. It would be like I would feel gullible if I just took it everything in. But if like whoever wants to do things their way, please do it. Um, but check with yourself and find your way. That's my thing. But he's currently pushing my buttons because he's not being open at all, even though he claims to be open. That's that's the trigger because if you can't explain or understand things, just be curious. Just give it a benefit of a doubt. That's one of my values. That give things the benefit of a doubt. Give yourself the benefit of a doubt that you don't know everything. Um, and I mean, sometimes I'm judgy too, obviously. Not obviously, but maybe obviously, but um, I'm just judgy for like towards my like for myself. But when I'm actually talking to someone, I say, okay, I don't think this is not the way that's good for me. I think for me this wouldn't work. But if you feel this is your way and you can connect to it like that, feel free, you know. Um, but he's being very judgy and he's pushing my buttons very much for that. So there are the triggers when the other person's not actually wrong, but it's just like being pushing your buttons, like it's just not a match when it comes to that. And I believe this is where many many relationships or people in relationships try to change the other person. um I don't see the point because wouldn't want to change something fun, like just that isn't actually doing something wrong. It's just my opinion or my way of doing things. I mean, we can always reflect, obviously. But what I want to say is that there are things between two people that are just not aligned. And especially when it comes to values being triggered, I think it's important to really be fucking honest with yourself or with yourselves, actually. Um, are you okay with that not being aligned, not being a match? Or is it time to not, go separate ways? And because a breakup isn't always like the end of the world. And this is like maybe an unpopular opinion, but um, breakups for me have been always been very liberating because things have always like started to go wrong. And even though after a year or two of trying to like fix it, working on myself, maybe the person on the other side wanted to work on themselves, didn't happen. That's why we broke up in the end. But um, yeah, it's always like a good like crossroad to reevaluate if it's still a match. Mm, yeah. So breakup empowerment, if it's not a match, we can work. We can work on the relationship always, but we can work on ourselves, which is super important. Then at some point, maybe it's just not a match anymore, or not at all. Um, and yeah, these are triggers. I mean, obviously there are potentially thousands more of triggers, but these are the two that actually, yeah, I've been faced with lately. But it's fun. It's very very healthy to for me, very very healing for me to look into that. And also on the other side, I'm so grateful to be in this no label connection because I get to experience things on a whole different level. I get to experience things like going a different way than I've experienced this, in my past relationship, my last quote unquote official long-term monogamous relationship, like the standard type of relationship we like society like just guides us into. Like I found myself in a monogamous relationship just because that was the only thing I knew. Like, is there another way? Like that was like the standard thing, and we never actually talked about it. Anyway, it was very very traumatizing. There was a lot of shit going on. And now with the guy I'm dating, um I get to rewrite what was so painful back then, like situations. I get to experience situations in a completely different way. Like a situation that went downhill, like with my partner back then. Now I get to learn that there's actually a different way a partner can respond to that. Like, and that is very very wonderful thing. And I don't even know if I have a point, but maybe a point is that you can you can quote unquote just date and still have a healthier and more loving connection and relationship than with a long-term aspiring monogamous partner. Because I hear people like, oh, don't you want to settle down, don't you want to like have a real partner? And I'm like, no, because this no label connection ship um is the best thing I've ever experienced. This is the best relationship I've ever had, even though of the triggers. But the thing is, I can talk to this guy. I can actually communicate with him, and he can communicate with me, and I have an experience. So it doesn't fucking matter what kind of relationship you're in. The key is communication and self-reflection, and not just responding on your triggers and basically bullying other people because of it. Um, yeah. And also there's the thing, maybe what makes this experience right now with this guy so easy, you know? Even though I'm triggered like all the time right now, because like it all gets like it all gets washed up, like nothing is more triggering than being in a relation with another person, I believe. But um but this way I can evolve, and a connection can evolve and grow and grow stronger. And also, I know that it has an end point, basically, because I've never entered a relationship with the pressure of it having to be forever. That's what I call long-term aspiring relationship. Um, I know how I want to feel in a long-term aspiring relationship. I don't feel that for the guy, though. I know he's not the guy I could be or would want to be in yeah, this long-term aspiring relationship. Um, but thing is, he doesn't have to be the person. He's just him, and I'm just me. And right now, we are very good for each other. And right now, it feels so right. And also because like this has nothing to do with monogamy. Well, he can go out and if he meets someone, then whatever, and if I meet someone else, whatever. But it has nothing to do with us. We are us. We have a unique connection, just like every other connection is unique. And I know that I'm very into this guy, and I like him a lot. I appreciate him. I value him a lot. He's important to me. And also I know he's not I wouldn't want to be in a committed long-term aspiring relationship. And that's okay. Because yeah, that's just how it is. And it's not worth less because it's not that type of connection, because right now it's so right for me, for him, to just spend this time together and be with each other. And yeah, I think we stress out about the other person being perfect and being a representative of our choices, because if we choose to be with another person long term, um, it kind of represents our choices and who we are. And this also puts a lot of pressure, I feel, on the other person to be quote unquote perfect, because it's a representation of me, because I chose this person. Mm, that just feels not very healthy. So I'm very, very I'm a fan of relationships, connections, just getting to be what they want to be, and letting relate like any types of connections be what they can be, without it having to be something else, without it having to be um long term, or working out long term. So like at the end of the year, he's gonna move, and he's gonna go on a, like, first on a half-year trip to some, like, around the world, or he doesn't even know yet where he's gonna go. And maybe he's not even coming back to like our hometown, where we both live. And that's okay. I mean, I'm gonna be super sad if our ways don't part before that. Mm. And also, it feels aligned. I'm not gonna say right, but it just feels aligned that it has this changing point. Um, and that is cool. And this is maybe my point with that we don't have to pressure ourselves into something. We don't have to pressure other people to be something else, or ourselves to be something else, or want something else. And letting just curiously exploring what each connection we have to different individuals, what each connection can be. Um, so in the course of your life, you gather various unique threads of experience, and yeah, because that's just something I wanted to share. So thank you.